Mr. James Scarlett. We go again.
What do you do, mate? How are you? Okay.
I'm good. This has been wild so far. Try to get this sorted. Full disclosure, I suppose that's the only way we do it on this podcast. We were supposed to have a pod with Daniel P. Carter last night, which would have been next Thursday's episode, and he had to pull it at the last minute because of work. So we are you're currently in a field right now, and we're hoping the Wi-Fi holds up and we can have a discussion with our emergency plan B.
Yeah. If anyone's watching, if anyone's listening on Spotify, you should probably turn it off and go to YouTube for just today, so you can see the beautiful Upcote Farm behind me.
Mate, I feel like I'm doing a live news report. You're like an ITV reporter on site.
Yeah, but with none of the experience of how to actually pull that off.
Well, let's just, I mean, it looks beautiful. It looks absolutely gorgeous. I take it you've had it's been decent weather for you for the build. Tell us about the build.
Mate, if you were to put up a photo of Upcote Farm, it always looks like this. I'm just going to step out of the way so you can see it. Like literally blue skies and rolling hills. Just it feels like it's apart from the lightning last year, it's always like this. So yeah, the build's going well. We've been in and out the farm a bit recently, and today is the first day where I am now on site every single day. It's what date is it? It's the 28th of June, Thursday the 28th of June, and I'm on site now 100% of the days until the festival.
Right, okay. Well, listen, it's been, as I said, it's been a wee bit wild. You are now on site trying to find a place to record this. It's my daughter's sixth birthday today, so I've been up, open presents with her, been to see Inside Out 2, and my dad is currently in the back garden building the trampoline I'm supposed to be building so we can record this episode.
Well, fair play, mate. Thank you. I mean, I blame you, because when we started this, you said we have to hit every Thursday. People need to know they can rely on us.
Yeah.
So this is us making it happen.
And talking about people you can rely on, the listeners. Now, again, to put this in context, usually, I mean, we've had guests lined up and I've had episode plans that kind of fell apart before, but ultimately, we're in a position in our houses we can just go and pull together some files, do a bit of research, and do another podcast. Now, this one, that's not quite so easy. You've got access to nothing. You're sitting in the middle of a field, and so we can't just prep another episode and do it like that way. So I went to the Facebook group today, only a few hours ago, and said, right, guys, well, this is the spot we find ourselves in, but we still want a pod coming out next Thursday. Hit us up with your topics, and we have got tons to get through, both a combination of sort of follow-ups to things that have happened before in the podcast that people want to know a wee bit more about, and then just not questions and such, but bullet points we can get into. So that is what we will do. But before we do that, I want to mention that we will be live at 2000 Trees. I believe we're on the Word stage at 3:15 p.m. So if you're going to Trees this year, make sure you come and check us out. We will have T-shirts there that folk will now have seen on our socials. 50 black, 50 white. Let's see how they sell. Seems to be a real interest in them. First place you'll be able to get them exclusively is at 2000 Trees. We'll see how they sell. They'll be at Art Tangent, and then if there is a demand for them, we will print more. Sound about right? Did you get that there? Amazing. I feel like you froze for me for a wee second. I was starting to panic, and I was just like, I'll fudge this until he comes back.
No, I was. So apologies for anyone watching on YouTube, because every time the sun goes behind a cloud, I go really dark. It's how does ITV News deal with that? What do they do?
I think they've got the big umbrella with the light inside it, don't they? The flashlight to make sure you're always lit. So you'll probably see James come in and out of focus, freeze, go dark, go light. Ultimately, when that happens, I will try and keep the show on the road. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to manage that, but and I'm slightly nervous about doing this now, but so far so good.
Mate. You can do it. And look, I think this podcast has been built on our honesty. So we're telling everyone we're scrambling because we've had a change of plan. So unlike every other episode, I have no notes in front of me and I don't know what we're going to talk about.
Do you have a drink though? I've got myself 2 cans of cider to get myself through this monstrosity.
I've got myself a beer and a rum.
There we
There you
go.
go.
There we go. It's got the potential to be the best thing we've ever recorded, or the worst. But one way or another, we'll get something out. So
I'm sure my brother will let us know which one it is at the end.
yes, right, okay, right off the bat then, I want to talk about something as of this moment because I just had a message for We Lost to See about Arctangent. So let's fill the listeners in on that particular behind the scenes. I'll go first. I got a message from We Lost to See saying, Gav, Arctangent's an absolute bucket list festival. We're desperate to do it next year. Could you have a word with your big pal about maybe us getting 2 sets there? Which I'm all for. I want to see departure songs and a new set there. But you didn't seem so keen as the what I got from behind the scenes.
Is this actually true? Did this happen?
This happened. You think I'm just trying to orchestrate We Lost to See?
Yeah. You just want to see departure songs, so you've created. Look, okay, so the up-to-date information is the agent emailed me at about 11:30 last night, basically saying something along those lines of, you know, let's talk about doing 2 sets. So we are now, because to be honest, it was your idea. So I'm very much feel like if you wanted to do that at Damnation, then you should do it at Damnation. But you keep telling me why you're not doing it, why you're not doing it. So let's do it at Arctangent.
I done it at Damnation, didn't I? I done it in 2022. I done departure songs and then a second set.
Right, so this is why you want it, so that in 6 months' time you can be saying to me, "I've stolen your idea again."
No, I'll not take any credit. I'll take credit for this if we can push this through. But here's my thinking, James. Right, here's my thinking. And please, the people that are going to make this happen and will make this happen are going to be the fan base. If you're an Arctangent fan and you want to see We Lost to See, of course you want to see We Lost to See. If you're a post-rock fan, you want to see We Lost to See. What you want is a slot. Well, it could be any of the days, but one of the slots doing departure songs, and then you want one big main stage, new tracks, new music slots in that Scalper Bosk area, late afternoon, early evening. There's your dinner. Get everything you can get for We Lost to See. So batter James with that. Batter James with that. This is a campaign we can win.
Let's talk about stages then. So you would rather see departure songs in a smaller tent and then a sort of greatest hits new song set in the main stage?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you need to do 2 different tents because you want them. It could be there'll be 2 different sets if you were doing them. Then you want them in 2 different stages. So I mean, either or. I suppose it works either or. But I mean, departure songs if you want to go in and get that special, bit more intimate, get the 10th anniversary of the greatest post rock album ever written, and then I'm told reliably from the band their new stuff is the best stuff they've ever written. So we'll get a chunk of that the following day, the day after, however it works. So
yeah,
I'm all in, James. I'm pushing this one, mate. I'm pushing this.
Lars Ulrich said that Saint Anger was the best songs they'd ever written before it came out. So, well, we'll see about that. I'm not doubting them, but look, you're Mr. Post Rock. I think it's established now that you're Mr. Post Rock. So let's do 2 sets. Absolutely.
Good, mate. I'm into this. And Liam, I'm not looking for any commission, mate. Just a pat in the back and a nice bottle of something good, and that deal's done for you boys. Okay, I'll leave yous to the fees. That's your world. But yeah, we've paved the path for the 2 sets, and everyone who gets to experience departure songs at Arctangent next year owes me a crisp high five because believe me, it's worth it.
I mean, that band need to cut you in because you were texting me earlier this week saying I've lowballed them on the fee.
So, James, I wasn't going to go that far.
Give him his 10%, everyone. Come on.
Moving on swiftly before James gets a bit too happy and we start discussing numbers. Right. So what I want to do with this one is, rather than just making it an Q&A, because obviously we've got those lined up anyway, and they'll be dropping the days of Arctangent and 2000 Trees, is make this more just open the floor, you have a bit more of a conversation. And there's these first points are pretty much follow-ups to stuff we've already spoke about in the podcast that people have asked us to expand on. So let's do that. Let's start with Craig Smith, who's asking about gateway bands to our festivals. Some gateway bands that made you want to do Trees and then Arctangent, James.
So the gateway to Arctangent for me, or just in like that sort of part of my music taste, happened in the early 2000s. So I wasn't into like particularly left field music. And I feel like Ghost Reverie's Opeth and the first two Mars Volta albums were really the gateways for me. And like they absolutely blew my mind. I mean, when you think about how old I was at that point, it's quite late to be having your mind blown by something new. But yeah, although I'd listened to some progressive, like I would argue that Wild Arts song we did last week is a progressive song, and like Metallica's Master of Puppets is really a prog album. That they were the Opeth and the Mars Volta really were my massive gateways to into Arctangent. And then Trees, because Trees is like it's a rock festival, right? It's just like a broad spectrum rock festival. So I mean, that was just like my gateway to music. Like it started with sort of 80s-ish rock with like bands like Extreme and Little Angels, and it moved on to the 90s Brit rock with the Wild Arts and Therapy, and then yeah, just everything that I mean, I've always been like I like all the like I was into new metal, I was into thrash metal. I mean, I've basically over the years have been through all the different genres. So for Trees, there isn't really a gateway, but Arctangent is a very clear one, I think. How about you?
Do you find it no? But first, before we get to that, do you find it strange that you, as the Mars Volta and Opeth, are sort of your gateway or the inspiration behind Arctangent, but Arctangent, even all these years later, is still very much seen as a post rock and electronic left field? You know what I mean? Like still that Battles and those kind of bands. Because at the start, if you'd have got your first headliners and you could have had, right, okay, maybe not the Mars Volta and Opeth, but bands of that genre, would you have done that?
Well, I don't know if I'd have been brave enough to go down this sort of Opethy prog metal route, because there's a lot of metal festivals out there,
Yeah.
and just Damnation and Bloodstock have got the market cornered in that really, and we never wanted to be a metal festival. We still don't want to be a metal festival because that's already being done. But I feel like those sort of Opeths and Devon Townsends and Leprosies fit very naturally with sort of Arctangent. But yeah, no, I probably wouldn't have gone. Although if you look at the Damnation stage we had in year one, there's plenty of bands on there that sort of hint at that, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that's true. And for myself, I mean, as I say, these are topics maybe you've heard me talk about before, but Raging Speedhorn is a very good example of a band. Because I went to Ozfest 2001. Yep, Ozfest 2001, Ozfest 2002, Download then 2003 being the first one, and into 2004, and I was a bit like, oh, I really like 1 Minute Silence and Charger and Raging Speedhorn and Sixth. And where's the festival in the UK that's dedicated to that? Where can I go and just see that all day? And it turns out there wasn't one. So it became Damnation. That's what became the day that you could go and catch all these bands that you might have caught in the fourth stage or opening the third stage at something like Download. So they were sort of my gateway bands. But at the same time, I went through my new metal phase like everyone else. And interestingly enough, we all seem to be getting back to it now. I mean, even like we left that day at Download, but I was watching the Limp Bizkit crowd. I was like, I wish I was there. I wish I was there for a bit of break stuff. That would have been banging.
Yeah. Well, they've got the hits, haven't they? It's interesting that your initial sort of taste, it's pretty like adrenaline fueled, isn't it? It's not like, considering that you're a post rock fan and you like the National, back in that is all like clatter you over the head. Fucking get your top off, let's go. Music, isn't it?
That I swear to God, James. I mean, see the buzz of it, see the experience of metal music probably got me into metal music or more extreme metal music than the music itself. I mean, I love Raging Speedhorn, yes I do, but that whole going in and seeing Amen, Charger and Raging Speedhorn at my first gig, the buzz of it was tops off. And I mean, you've got me saying taps off, right? I'm Glaswegian, taps off, and getting into the madness. It was the buzz of it was like for the first 10 years. I mean, I probably watched a lot of bands that probably weren't that good, but were just causing chaos, and I had the best time ever. You know, I fucking love a mosh pit. I loved a mosh pit when I was younger, and I would go and watch a lot of bands that might not have been particularly that exciting to me listening on a CD, but I just love the madness of it all. So, you might be right, actually, that despite the fact as I've grown and I do love my post-rock, my Nashville and that. A lot of the extreme metal is just, I mean, how crazy is the crowd? So,
And you're quite an interesting metal fan in that you don't pander to the "you've got to like these bands" thing, do you? Whereas I do actually. But so I don't think you're not that interested in Slayer. I don't think you're a massive Metallica fan even, and you're not bothered about the like Anthrax or whatever. Iron Maiden. I don't know. I mean, I might be reading between the lines here, but I think you're not that bothered about any of those bands, are you?
no, not at all. I mean, entirely indifferent. A lot of them I haven't really even heard that much beyond the hits. It's weird because what's that? Is that band Meth? You know the band Meth? So
Yeah.
I've listened to the Meth record, and but I think they're playing, is it tomorrow night? You could potentially go and see them in Glasgow, right? But there's full Black Sabbath, Megadeth, Slayer, Metallica albums that I've never heard. You know what I mean? But I have heard the Meth record, you know what I mean? It's like, I just came in at a weird angle to this. And then that's the kind of music I was into. And then, okay, I don't mind a few Metallica hits. I mean, I will watch a wee bit of Iron Maiden, but I probably, so many people, especially at Damnation, came through that route of when they were younger, they listened to all the bands and went through school listening to all the bands. But as I've said before, I was 19 before my first experience of like Marilyn Manson and Smashing Pumpkins and Slipknot. That was my entry, and then Korn and Limp Bizkit, and then I went there very quickly to your Raging Speed Horns and Chargers. So I completely missed that whole bit of the market, the popular Motorhead, Judas Priest. I mean, I've never heard a Judas Priest album in my entire fucking life, and I hope to keep it that way.
I mean, I'm not. I actually Priest are one that have passed me by as well. I've listened to a couple of their albums a bit, and I never really get on with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tom Redman, our views on successful new festivals. Now, we've spoken about this before as well. You're taking it from me as I am very supportive of them, and that's the truth. I mean, you can see that the evidence is there. We have used the Damnation's reach and social medias to prop up new festivals before, and I am quite supportive. Well, I have to say, maybe in the experience of doing this podcast and just some of the stuff I've seen happening behind the scenes, I don't believe that that's for many events that on the face of it seem quite supportive. I don't believe that that's the same in return for Damnation. I think that behind the scenes there's a few people out there that wouldn't mind Damnation dying off, or at least taking fans from Damnation, which I've questioned myself sometimes, but like, am I being naive here? Am I the sort of happy-go-lucky, innocent, naive guy? It's like, oh yeah, come on, let's prop up the scene and everybody just succeed and bring more people into this? Or am I just like, well, this is who I am, and try to pretend that I want to be negative about other festivals and hold them down because Damnation's in a position to do that would be something that I wouldn't be interested in. I've ultimately been fake. You know what I mean? To be like, oh, let's make sure I shit this festival and exclusive this and hold this festival down. You can't do that. So, I'm a wee bit torn about it at the minute. I feel like I have been very supportive, but I don't feel and I haven't seen a lot of evidence of that in return.
No, I mean, it's tricky. Yeah, I mean, because you really do shout about other festivals. Do they shout about you back?
Not a lot of them, to be fair.
Right. Okay. We know a few of them are listening. We want to see the Damnation poster out on their socials next week.
Get tagging folk. And you know what? I don't even mean that in a sort of like, I don't do that when I put these ones saying about, and these events that I'm like your Tech Fest and incinerations. That I'm not saying that the people that run or ran those festivals want to see Damnation fail, but there's definitely I think the last couple of months I've just noticed a vibe when you hear things from maybe another agent or a manager. It's very much like if someone could get in your way to stop you succeeding, they would do it. And you're a bit like, that's kind of not how I operate. So ultimately, you asked me this question 4 or 5 months ago, I'd be like, let's all win together. Whereas now I'm a bit like, right, okay, I'm not going to change the way I am or the way I promote, but maybe I shouldn't be so naive in some of my approach to like, oh, let's everybody support each other when that support's maybe not there for Damnation. Oh no, I think we've froze. We've lost you, James. It was going too well. You back?
Yeah, we did a good 23 minutes there, mate, of no fuck ups.
Well, it was not too bad. I was talking pretty much just till you came back there. So hit us up with your views, and because obviously you're at the other side of that. You've got a lot of these festivals that do start up that are very much like Arctangent. And you've said before that some of that can be frustrating if it just feels like a copy and paste.
Yeah, I mean, I feel very funny about this because I've given Download so much shit over the years for their exclusivities, and then, I'm not sure if I've said this before, but Andy Copping, the head honcho at Download, I met him like probably, I don't know, 10 years ago. And he basically said to me, it's nothing personal. We just think 2000 Trees is taking 5,000 tickets off us a year, or at least it's potentially taking 5,000 tickets off us a year. And that's like, we're running a business. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, fair play. And I thought he was a super nice guy, actually. I wanted to hate him, and I thought he was really like top bloke. And you don't want to become what you hated, do you? So you don't, because we're not the top fish, but we're in the middle somewhere. And I don't want to be non-supportive to all these smaller events, but equally, as I've said before, taking a huge risk, particularly being outdoors. It's like there's so much money goes into putting on an outdoor event, putting in I think we're going to do an episode very soon about the costs of festivals and how much to put in water and power and toilets into you can see it behind me if you're watching on YouTube. It's currently just a field. And yeah, and that makes me feel less positive about shouting about other people's festivals, because maybe some people are like, well, I don't fancy getting muddy at Arctangent. I'm going to go to a different festival, which is indoors. So, um, I 100% do not want to be Live Nation, but equally, we need to protect Arctangent. Does that even remotely answer the question?
Yeah, I mean, I get it, and then it's a weird one as well because here's us two. I mean, how did this come about? I mean, this was the product of two people getting into it the same way with the same mindset. And this started 10 years ago. This has got nothing to do with this podcast. I mean, even before that, because your first Damnation was 2012, and I was like, so fucking 14, 15 years ago, we're talking about this starting,
Yeah.
and the podcast is in the last 4 months. So. But that's two folk that get into it. We're like, okay, we don't need to stand in each other's head. And you know what? We will have competition sometimes. There's bands that are getting bandied about now and will be for next year that you're a bit like, oh, Arctangent will get them or Damnation will get them. So there can be as a business as well. And ultimately, if I can get a band before you can get a band, we're not going to be asking each other's permission or saying that you're going to get the deal you can get, and then you're going to say to the guy, listen, I get my sugar and you never, and that's just fucking how the cookie crumbles. So, but at the same time, we did help each other's festivals, and we're willing from the very start to shout about each other's festivals without any reasoning behind that.
But once you're mates, so I used to be, so the guy who used to book Truck, who listens to this podcast, Ian, he, me and him are mates from way back. And I always used to have in all my exclusivities, like 100-mile radius around 2000 Trees, but not including Truck Festival, purely because me and Ian are mates, and I didn't want to put an exclusivity on him. And like, that's the same for Damnation, like we did it with Paul Barrett, and we could do it with We Lost the Sea this year. I'm like pretty relaxed. Neither of us want to have the same lineup.
Yeah.
If there's three or four bands on both festivals, then it's fine, isn't it? And like we've talked about before, I don't want to book Ahab when you've already announced them, and they're what a fucking great band. I don't want to book Ahab in the same year as you. So when you're mates, it's like, okay, it's not just a business, is it?
Yeah, and you can work together, and ultimately, if you're doing something and it leads to this, and then you end up at the end of the year with 50 extra tickets sold because you built that relationship, and then vice versa. Because there is Tangent and Damnation have become the crossover of our biggest rival in terms of who would buy a ticket is definitely Tangent, 100%. It's the same fan base that are going to both, but I think we probably get away with it just about because you've been August outdoors and us been November indoors, and you could just about manage. But if on paper, we should be the biggest rivals because the biggest crossover. A lot of people might think it is something like, I know you're Incineration or Bloodstock, but it's not. It's definitely Arctangent. Arctangent's got the biggest pop of any lineup that gets posted on the forum. But you say, look, but there's a lot of benefits to get for it too. And if someone can only afford one, then fair enough. Put on the best event you can put, and you get the ticket sale. You know what I mean? It is a business and a bit of competition, but it can be a friendly competition as well.
I mean, just to be clear, if you ever go outdoors, I'm going to exclusive you on fucking everything.
Mate, if I ever go outdoors, Arctangel's dead, mate. Lisa Gonzalez is asking about booking regrets, either made or missed. Now, previously I'd mentioned that we'd been offered Bring the Horizon, Ghost, and at one point we actually had Architects booked, and then they came back off lineup. So, I mean, I don't regret them as such, but they're definitely ones where about like it'd be cool to be on the poster. Be yourself. What ones have you ever been like, shit, we really should have went with that?
I mean, back in the day when 2000 Trees used to be much more eclectic in its music taste, I used to go to millions of gigs in London, and I went one night. I went to see in a really small venue. There was Mumford and Sons, Laura Marling, and Johnny Flynn on the same bill. Who none of them were big at that point, and they were all about to explode. And I made an offer of 300 quid for Mumford and Sons, and the agent said to me, "They're going to be massive. I need you to get it to 850." And I was like, "Mate, I've just watched them in this little basement. Look, every agent says they're going to be massive." So I said no to it, turned down Mumford and Sons. And also I made an offer of 75 quid. I went to this gig in London, and Ed Sheeran was doing a like a sort of like a rap battle thing. I don't know what you call it. Like like in the Eminem film, like he's properly up there giving it, and it was really fucking great actually. And I made a 75 quid offer for Ed Sheeran, and I'm talking, he had no music out at this point. And again, the agent said, I don't know, something like it's got to be 300 quid. This guy's going to be massive, and I was like, nah, I'm fine. So obviously nowadays I wouldn't be offering for those sort of acts, but back then it was a bit more eclectic, and I turned down Ed Sheeran and Mumford and Sons. So
both for less than grand.
Yeah.
Ed Sheeran's, I mean, that guy fills stadiums multiple nights in a row, doesn't he? He does Hampden Stadium for 3 nights by himself.
Yes,
Fills it.
His festival fee would be upwards of 5 million, right? Easy.
I mean, what festivals could actually, I mean, other than Glastonbury, I mean, what would Ed Sheeran even bother with? You know what I mean? It's fucking £75 for Ed Sheeran. That's brilliant. I'm glad we're following up on some of these questions, because these are points that, I mean, I've never heard that before either. I think Bring Me Horizon back in, was it 2005? It was 200 quid for Bring Me Horizon, which I never fancied. And then I think Ghost was at like a grand for Ghost. I mean, both those now, I mean, you're buying fucking mansions for the prices of those bands. But I always had a feeling as if you're not getting that Sleep Token or Turnstile or Idols, when they're already in the way up, you've managed to get a band for like 20 grand, and then by the time they're playing, they're worth 50 or 100 grand. That's the real gems. I mean, just having Bring Me Horizon in 2005, 2006. Well, everybody done that. Every Ghostfest and fucking whoever had to Bring Me Horizon doing that for 200 quid. That's just the path that they took. What you really want to do is strike gold when you get that band and you've got them in a fee and they stick with you, but when they're already in the way to the moon. So Damnation not been lucky enough to have one of those yet.
But I do like the fact that you can say to people, look, you know, you could have seen Creeper or Nothing But Thieves or Slaves, now Soft Play. You could have seen them in that tiny, Idols is the ultimate one, Bob Villain. You could have seen them in that tiny tent. You know, and you know, and there's another one this year. There's one at Damnation, there's one at Arctangent, there's one at Trees. You know, I don't know who it is.
I mean, I suppose Skindred is our closest. I mean, in that 600 capacity room in the upstairs in Manchester the first time, and them playing underneath, who was it? The Haunted was our version of those guys. I mean, what did they do the last time they played? Dang, they've done Wembley Arena, didn't they? So, aye, it's that and James has come back too. See if anyone hears me and he goes, Gav sounds like he's slowing down a bit from his usual pace and stalling a wee bit. It's because I've noticed that James is just frozen on the other side of my screen.
Look, can we make a plan that next time it happens, you just keep talking?
I did. I literally did until you came back there. It's just, I went from my usual Glaswegian just rabbiting at the mic to, and then we booked Skindred. So I'm just trying to get James will come back at some point. I'm willing you to come back into the screen. So aye, that's the ones. I mean, if you could turn back the clock, James, to expand on this question and grab a few bands, not even so much for, oh, this would be for ticket sales, but one of the bands you're like, oh God, that's a band I'd have loved to have had when they were available in 2007, 2008, 2009, because they would have been spot on and one for the tick list. Anything spring to mind?
Well, I sometimes think, how did these bands never play 2000 Trees? So, obviously we started small, but like Biffy Clyro. So I guess I think I went to see Biffy Clyro at the London Astoria in 2006. I might have got that year totally wrong, but they're playing to 2,000 people in London. Trees started in 2007. If we'd have known that you could go a bit bigger on the fee and get the band in and people would follow them, Biffy Clyro, Muse, there's some bands that were really coming up when we were starting. I mean, maybe Muse had already gone. I guess Origin of Symmetry was already out then.
They would have been. Maybe you'd have caught them if you had enough money at the time. Because I mean, even fees back then, going back 20 years ago, would have been crazy different. You know what I mean? Is there nothing spring to mind for me for metal? Is there anything in metal you think, oh, Gav? I mean, your obvious ones, if you get like I'm a Sugar, but we could still do that band, but you could have got them back then for a very reasonable price. But is there anything that springs to mind that get absolutely monumentally big that Damnation could have had? Metal's an odd one. Metal is an odd one.
Well, no. I want to bring it. I want to bring up Machine just because we talk about them every episode, but that's not really relevant, is it? You could have had them. You could have had them
on the way down. We could have had them with Supercharger too.
Yeah.
Which I think was still pre-Damnation. But what did they do after the masterpiece of the Black? It was like On to the Locust. What's the worst example of the more recent albums?
Mate, Catharsis. I think it's called Catharsis. It's got a song called Bastards on it. When you finish here, you should go and listen to it. It's the single worst song ever written by anyone, ever. But they went like proper Dropkick Murphys fucking folk punk.
Right.
Machine Head went folk punk.
Bastards by him. You've now back crystal clear. I mean, you look like your 4K definition now from fuck knows what's happening with that. Right, next one. Don Wallace, festivals without headliners, i.e. you don't pay the big bucks for the top one, you just stack your lineup. Now, we've talked about this before, but to expand on it, yes, Dom, that's my dream. That's my dream. I would love Damnation to be the event where you didn't worry about the headliner and you stacked everything from your third stage opening band up and you increased all those fees. So a band are playing for 500 quid, we'd be playing for $3 or $4 grand now. And you would stack it in, but there is no evidence to support so far that a festival can do that. And I think some festivals may be trying it, but they're downsizing to try it, aren't they? They're not saying, let's stay at 60,000 capacity and not book the kind of bands that can bring 60,000 fans with them.
No, and I think we spoke the other day about Secret Garden Party doing that. But what you've got to realise, I think, is that what you're doing with the headliners, you're uniting the various tribes. So some post-rock fans are into We Lost the Sea, some are into, some like We Lost the Sea, some like Caspian, some like Mono, some like, whoever. And they don't all like all the bands, but they all like Mogwai. Do you know what I mean? And it's basically like that for all the genres. And that is why you need Metallica headlining Download, because you're uniting the Limp Bizkit and the Pantera fans. And whereas if you just ditch the headliners and make This Will Destroy You the headliner, you unite everyone. So that means you're going to sell way less tickets. So ultimately, you need a headliner at a festival.
Yeah, and there's something about your actual value for money. Now, you might not like the band at the top of the bill, be it Metallica, Mogwai, whatever it is, but there's something about when you're paying that ticket price, there's a reasonable expectation for the kind of band that would demand that. And that just, if you try to do that with the bands a level beneath, the first thing you're going to get for the fan base is, why is this so expensive? Even if that money has been filtered through the rest of the lineup. I noticed a great comment on one of the download pages, or it might be an Andy Copping's account, and somebody was complaining, Limp Bizkit should have been a headliner. And Andy Copping replied, well, you get 2 for 1 then, didn't you? Because you still got the fucking Limp Bizkit set, and then you got Avenged Sevenfold. So what's the complaint? But the point is, that same person would have complained if there was no Avenged Sevenfold, like, why didn't he pay whatever a download ticket, day ticket is to see Limp Bizkit? The last time they toured, it was in academies and it was only fucking £45 and now I need to pay 130. So it's a bit of a catch-22. I feel the proof is in the pudding a wee bit, like when you don't have a headliner big enough, you don't do the ticket sales. We saw that. We saw that last year. I mean, Lecture Wizard are an amazing band and headline festivals all over the world, but are they a band in the UK that can attract 6,000 fans? The answer is no, they can't. So, but the rest of that lineup was stacked, absolutely fucking stacked. That money, that year's lineup cost more money than the year before's lineup, despite all those special sets. So you need to get these bands at the top of the bill that can still, as you say, unite the client and also make it look like you're getting value for that money. Even perversely, if you don't like that fucking band, you still feel like, understand why I'm paying it.
Yeah, look, it keeps me awake at the idea of having to nail the headliners every year. I've gone pitch black, haven't I?
Yeah,
but the sun has gone at 2,000 trees. But yeah, the idea of booking another 3 headliners, trees, and 3 for ATG for next year is, I'll be totally honest, is like scary. It's like you got to do it again.
You know what?
See, Bloodstock announced this week that they've booked all their headliners for both the first and the main stage and the second stage.
Yeah. I mean, that's thing, because you come onto each of these episodes and you'll see that Bloodstock done it, and then you come into one after it and you go like, oh, I'll talk about this if I'm not mentioning Bloodstock, and then you come in the next one after and you're like, James, you need to stay in a lane with this. So
okay,
you'll know. But the point of that though is you've got a vested interest, because I mean, not so much the second stage, whatever they book for that, but you've got a vested interest. If there are 3 bands they book, something like I'm a Sugar, for example, they're bands that cross over with Art Tangent. Now your hope there is they book, I don't know, Megadeth, the Slayer reunion, and somebody like Architect. Well, saying that you would book Architects, but somebody like that, and then you can go, right, okay, but there are 3 still in the hat for you. But they could also come out with 3 bands that between your 2 festivals there's definitely a crossover with. Mr. James, are you back with us?
I am back, mate.
Mate, literally, we go again. for like the fucking 8th attempt. Now, I mean, I was going to try and talk about that one, but you completely disappeared for screen.
Yeah, I've had enough time to make a new drink and everything. The wireless network adapter has been reset.
Good.
This will be my last ever podcast from a field.
Damn you, Dan P. Carter, look what you put us through. I usually get quite chilled as the episodes go and get really into start to enjoy it. I'm fucking an anxiety-riddled mess when I was waiting to see if you're going to be there to answer the question at the end of it or not. So
yeah, it's pretty stressful. I'll keep moving so you know that I haven't frozen.
A few drinks in and he's swaying backwards and forwards. Also, while we're talking about the lack of professionalism on this podcast, a few people have mentioned since the start, and I've been aware of it, my audio isn't wonderful. James's, despite the fact that the two has spent a few £100 getting mics, James's audio is better than my audio. Mostly, I think, because he's just got a nicer sounding voice, and I am a loud Glaswegian. But I did look up. This is me admitting my faults here. I did look up the settings for the first time after the last episode, and I had it in the wrong setting. So it was set for a 360-degree conversation rather than me talking to it, and the game was too much. So I'm hoping, and you please let us know in the comments. Although if you see somebody else moaning about the sound, don't just pile on. Just say, nah, it's still shit, Gav. And then I need another solution. Maybe move it to this wee office and do something downstairs or get a new mic. Oh, Bry's looking into this. One guy on YouTube was good enough to send us some advice about using Riverside FM instead of Zoom, which I have no idea what that means. But if it stays shit, we will do something about it. We never quite expected the audience that this podcast has got. So, but if you're going to stick with us, I will improve my audio if I can do nothing to improve how excitable I get or my accent.
Mate, UK's fastest growing music podcast. I think you're fine. Don't worry about it.
It's fucking where do you see? Honestly, I don't know. You seem very calm about these live shows, man. But I'm a bit like, mate, this is the test. Is anyone coming to see these fucking live shows?
No, I think it's going to be. I mean, 2,000 trees mid afternoon, going to be lovely. It's going to be a nice crowd, I think.
My favourite 2000 trees is more that although it's changed now because we've done quite a lot of content on 2000 trees and done a lot of sort, and I feel that the audience is getting a bit stronger. Whereas at the start, I felt it was Damnation and Arctangent. So, please show up, trees. I've got a bit more confidence in Arctangent. I feel because we have literally sat in a stage and had a decent crowd within our podcast that was a fraction of the size of this one. So, I'm a bit more confident about Arctangent. Anyway, we digress. Will we have James here still moving side to side? There you go. Bands. Brendan Coles is asking bands to reform, which is a bit of a follow-up to what we've just done with the Million Dead conversation and what we've spoken about before. So where are we with your hopes and dreams for asking bands to reform?
Well, the number one target for me at 2000 Trees was always Reuben, followed by Million Dead. The number one target at Arctangent was always Ocean Size. I never think about making American bands reform. I don't think I have the power to do that. They, like bands just appear like Botch, and then you get into the sort of bidding war, and it either happens or it doesn't. Whereas UK bands, I feel like in some way you have a chance of influencing that. The thing you have to be careful about is your own personal, like, they're your favorite band, but how many, I mean, I'm like older than our average audience, particularly at Trees, but also Arctangent. So do people like those bands? Are people as excited? So I don't know. I don't have any new names. I mean, it's great that McCluskey reformed. That was like one of the bands we wanted to see back together. But yeah, and it was always about the Mars Volta, but I've kind of like moved on and gently sob into my pillow every night that that's never going to happen.
Are you now at the case is never going to happen? I thought it was like, you missed that chance when they did come back, but is there something that's changed that is now that is the money involved just too much now?
Yeah, I think if 2000 Trees made sense for them in terms of, sorry, if Arctangent made sense for them in terms of the run of shows, we'd have a chance. But there just aren't the festivals around Arctangent that they could play. So it's like I've got to come up with all the money, and I literally can't.
Yeah, that's that's not good at all for anyone listening for our tangent and hoping that was going to become a thing. But I suppose at least we did get Mogwai. So from a Damnation's point of view, I would say Stamping Ground and Mistress are two bands that we will probably have another punt at. Bands that have played Damnation before, bands that we've got decent relationships with, especially Mistress, and we'd love to see those bands return at some point.
4 to 6 days later.
James Scarlett, 5 days later, we go again.
We're back. Well, they said it had never happened, but we are back. Fucking hell.
They gave so much credit was given to that guy, the hardest geezer who ran the lane for Africa, but he never tried to complete this podcast, which must be it must be now gone for some sort of record. So to fill anyone in who was listening to me talking about Stamping Ground and Mistress as James froze for the 56th time, we are now Wednesday, the 3rd of July. since you were listening to this a few seconds ago, I have been to Manchester. I was at Outbreak Festival. I've slept in Lowe's Brew's couch. I've been in fucking the Kings of Leon production manager's hotel suite playing pool. And James has had another 5 days of festival build. So let's start there and let's see if we can get the last 15, 20 minutes of this podcast wrapped up and make it one for the history books.
Fucking yes, let's do it. People notice that my background has changed somewhat. I'm no longer trying to be clever and sit in a nice sunny field. I'm now in a house.
And how's it been? How's it been since we last spoke? Everything looked quite tranquil the last time. You're all full of the beans. You had a wee rum and a beer in the hand. You looked very happy, and you seem a wee bit more dialed in right now.
Mate, I feel like I look more tired than I did last time. Yeah, everything's got a bit more serious now, and as we talked about when we did a couple of weeks ago when we talked about festival setup, I always said that 1st of July was the real start of everything. So in the last 3 days, we've got main stage is sort of a quarter built. The Axiom and Cave marquees have started going up this morning. all the bars and all those sort of white tents that house bars and dressing rooms and all sorts. They've gradually been going up. There's beach huts, glamping, and all sorts being built. So it's quite a busy site out there at the moment. And yeah, it feels incredibly real.
I can imagine, because you're sitting there. We've done this 5 days ago. You've got the, as you say, the rolling fields behind you and the hills, and you're like, this is beautiful. What a spot! And now you're actually seeing the work being done.
Yeah, and it's now it's all about just sticking to schedule. And we've had a little bit of rain today, so I've basically spent the whole day just arguing with people about their cars and their lorries and. Do you really need to drive that? I don't think you need to drive there, do you? I'm like walking around with with barrier tape, closing gateways and stuff, and people saying, I need to go through that gateway. And I'm like, you don't need to go through that gateway, mate. And so, yeah, there's a lot of that.
Protect the grass at all costs.
And one of my business partners, Andy, just said to me in front of one of our contractors, I'm not that worried about the grass. I think it's nice and dry here. And I'm like, mate, that's because you only organise 2,000 trees and you don't also run arctangent. If you ran arctangent, you'd be worried about the grass. But yeah, the good news is that the weather forecast is nicely warming up for next week. So,
right,
feeling good about the weather. We're going to take the hit now.
We're expecting it. I know that you've historically always been quite lucky with trees, but even BBC weather's looking positive.
Yeah, it's about, so when you arrive and we have our first beer in the forest, it's going to be about 21 degrees by the looks of it. So which is about perfect festival temperature.
Aye.
Yeah.
It's getting close now, isn't it? About like, and here's the thing: where am I bunking in with you? Where am I sleeping? I need to find somewhere.
You know what? That is I'll ask my wife.
Listen, is this guy I've been doing a podcast with? He's going to be in bed with me tonight, okay? It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
No, when this finishes, send me a WhatsApp and I will sort you some accommodation.
That would be wonderful. I do not want to be putting this in your plate in the final few days of trees. But
there was a time to ask me that question and it wasn't fucking the thing.
It wasn't right on the podcast. It just came to me. I was going like, I'm going to end up sleeping at the bottom of a tree in the forest. So, but I mean. I'm officially an artist, so I can make demands. Can I have my tour manager get in touch with you?
You can. Well, Sarah, the head of Artist Liaison, she'll no doubt sort you something amazing.
That doesn't need to be amazing. See if it's a canvas roof, Sarah, I would appreciate that. If I'm not getting a cuddle for the big man himself. So I look very much looking forward to my trip to trees. I'm buzzing about it. So I'm down on I think I'm driving down early in the Wednesday morning, and because it's like a 7-hour trip, and then. Hopefully, I think you can get a direct train back from Cheltenham to Glasgow, oddly. So if I can do that for the Friday and get back up before I fly away to Mexico on the Saturday, that sounds like a great start to the holiday. So
happy days.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Is all behind the scenes, like the artist liaison, the bands and that, everything else, all, I mean, touch wood? No dramas?
Yeah, no dramas. That there's always in the back of my head every time I check my emails. It's weird because you're in a field and then you go back to the office and it's the emails come in. You're always waiting for the headliner to kick off about something. They can't do the fireworks here or whatever. But no, I think it's smooth. We've been doing this long enough now. I think we definitely know what we're doing. So yeah, it feels good. Feels good. And I'm looking forward to this weekend because that's when we put up the fencing, and that is a nice time. Lots of old friends come down and just help us out and have a few beers and a barbecue. So yeah, should be good.
Yeah. I mean, this podcast will be the final one for anyone going to trees where you can actually tell them anything that they need to know. Is there anything that the trees fan base that that'll be different for this year that you want them to know? Is there tickets left? Is there anything to say? Because the one after this is the day of. It's the first day of trees.
Well, look, there are tickets left, but it's the best tickets we've ever sold. We're really happy with the tickets. So I'm not going to do a big hard sell on that. I think just in terms of new stuff, just to remind people, you definitely should check out the live band silent disco sets in the forest all 4 nights. If you bring in kids, we've got a massively upscaled kids activities this year. So go on our Facebook page and have a look at the post regarding that, because there's loads of stuff going on, forest school and some live activities in the word stage. That'd be really cool. And then, just to be honest, my main thing with trees is go and discover some new bands. Go and discover some new bands. Like, don't just be like, oh, I'm really looking forward to Bob Villan and Don Broco and, you know, this Manchester Orchestra. We all know everyone's looking forward to them, but go and check out some new stuff. Have a listen in the few days running up to it. Get the Clash Finder. All the times are out there. You can go and see when all these bands are playing. And just bring your smiley game face and let's go big.
I noticed when on one of the comments, or a few of the comments in YouTube and Instagram, we've been recommending and discussing a lot of bands that clash directly with our podcast. I think it's like one was one of the Frank Turner suggestions that clashes with it. I think Nobro clash with another band, and it just seems like we keep recommending people go check out whoever's playing at the same time that we're in that word stage.
Yeah, don't do that. I mean, basically, let's pack this out. Come on, if you're listening to this podcast, let's pack out the word stage. Gab, yesterday I meant to tell you there was an amazing thing on the Trees Facebook group. Somebody posted, what's everyone's top 3 things they're looking forward to at 2000 Trees this year? Mine are Hot Milk, Don Broco, and 2 promoters, 1 pod. It's like, yes.
Yes. that man will be getting a free bottle of Lou's Brews when he right. So talking of discovering new bands, that is pretty much my experience from the last time we spoke. I went down to the wonderful Outbreak Festival. It takes place in the same venue as Damnation, the BEC Arena in Manchester. Went down for the Saturday as a 3-day event, but for whatever reason I'd show up and just always do the Saturday and then head home a broken man. The Friday was a hip hop day, and I think it was a small capacity sort of hip hop thing. But the Saturday, I showed up. It was fucking. I tell you what, it was good. It was good. It's impressive what the guys have managed, because they used every square inch of that site. I mean, to the perimeter fences out with what I've never seen used before, and every square inch of it was absolutely fucking packed. I mean, have you been to any of the Outbreak events yet?
No, because it's just such a bad time for me because I'm just too
Of course.
busy. Did they use the indoor main stage area that you use, and they had a main stage outdoors as well? Is that how it was?
Aye. So I mean, I don't know. Everything about Outbreak is fascinating, because the approach, the way that they approach it is just so different from my approach, in the sense that they don't really say anything about anything. I mean, no one knows really who they are, or they're not. I mean, I think the fans only found out a couple of weeks ago the main stage was outdoors, and even that seemed to be like an off the cuff remark on Instagram. Like, I mean, can you imagine that? I would literally be crucified. I'd be crucified. Yeah. It reminded me of when I went to it. We used Leeds University Union, and we'd have 3,000 fans in that venue, and it would be the end of the world. I mean, I remember one time in 2014, we were getting accused of risking people's lives because they said there was too many people in the venue. Slam Dunk used the same venue with an outdoor stage and put 6,000 or 7,000 people there, like double the capacity. And I remember going to the Slam Dunks, and it was fucking rammed. I mean, it was visibly busier than Damnation at every corner of it. But the teenagers just didn't give a shit. They're like, fuck it, we're teenagers, we're here to see fucking Funeral for a Friend or whoever the bands up, we're playing You Make 6. And now I'm having the best day of life, and I'm not going to moan about waiting for coffee or a drink or the toilets. Outbreak gave me the exact same vibe, but what was even more surprised, they're not kids. They're guys, they're our age. This guy's fucking in their 40s waiting to see Poison the Well, not giving a shit about the fucking 2-hour queue for coffee, or that the toilets you can't get to, or the bar takes a fucking... They're just like, we're here, we're going to get to do some spin kicks and jump off stage, and this is fucking brilliant. And I was just like... See, if I wasn't so fucking impressed with Outbreak, I'd be a bit jealous, because you're just sitting there. I was sitting there at one point, overlooking the main stage. It was really worked for them as well. It was brilliant. And it's difficult not to do the mental maths in your head, because I could come to that tangent. I have no way of even putting a pin in where the numbers would be. But with something like Outbreak, without seeing their budget sheet, I use that venue, so I know the cost. I know the cost of my own bands. So I can put the 2 and 2 together, and I know how many tickets they're selling at £100 a ticket. And I'm looking at them like, conservatively, after I paid the band the production costs, even a VAT, I would be looking at a profit margin of about 400 grand per day if I could get Outbreak's crowd there at that ticket price. Like, for 2 days, Damnation would walk away with the best part of £1 million profit in the bank for 2 days. I mean, you're watching it like that, like watching Poison the Well having a great time. Like, the support for this is spectacular. Absolutely spectacular.
I suppose the question, it's all about artist budget then and production, isn't it? Are they spending that money on that?
I think they are. I did meet one of the organisers, and I was like, mate, fuck, the three of you must be swimming in gold. He goes, I don't know where the money's gone. That means so they just like the catering bills like 100 grand because they're all getting fucking, I don't know, vegan caviar. So but for Damnation's point of view, I'm not saying, just in case that gets misconstrued by anyone listening to it, that I'm saying that's what Outbreak made. They could have made nothing, or they could have made double that. I'm just saying, for me projecting Damnation's view onto that, if we were to have that sort of crowd at that ticket price over 2 days, I'd be walking away with fucking best part of £1 million profit over the weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that you weren't there on the hip hop day, but that sounded like it was a lot quieter, so there'd be a hit there probably financially.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the stage, because I've seen some videos from the outdoor, and it looked to me like there's the crowd on the floor, and then in front of the stage, there's another platform higher up, which isn't the stage, but it is an air. So it's almost like if you're in the front 20 rows, you can stand higher than everyone else. Is that true?
So and this is another, like, one of the guys are going to say they would come on to the podcast, which would be a fucking brilliant podcast, because I think there's a million questions of like how all this stuff came out that they don't address, that they don't talk about, because it's just their way of doing things. I don't think they're up for that whole, let's go in here and deal with every single complaint at a fucking micromanagement level the way that we do. And maybe that's a disservice to Damnation, because maybe there's sometimes I'm hyper focused on something that 2 people have complained about and 5,000 people wouldn't have complained about, but they guys are just like, here's the product, enjoy it or don't, and clearly thousands upon thousands of people do. So to answer your question, the first time I'd seen this, and I could be completely wrong, this is just me from a very much an outsider looking in, it seemed like these hardcore shows had a stage, the way, but just lower than any stage we do, that you could climb on and cause carnage, spin kick people in the head, grab the microphone and have a wee bit of hardcore fun as everybody's fucking filming it for the side. And I think that Outbreak has got to the size and the level of some of these bands and the production that they're using. They really just can't afford to have their monitors and mics and backline kicked to shit. No, I mean, it's not in a gym hall with so I think what they've done is very cleverly said, look, we want to keep this no barrier. We want to keep this no barrier feel, but we also want our artists to be able to perform as artists, and we want space with a crew and production, and everyone can keep the show professional without fucking 50 people climbing over into the top of it. So they've built these ones that you can just kind of climb onto, and then in the main stage it was quite raised. I mean, it was another almost body to climb up on top of it. But in the second stage, which was our main stage, it was a wee bit small, but you could go there and then you could basically be involved with stage diving and everything that they're into without needing to be falling into or through the drum kit. Now, that's my interpretation of it. I've never asked anyone if that's the reason to do it. That's me putting 2 and 2 together, and it works. It really works, because I think it really keeps them in we can keep that show on the road without too much damage and chaos.
It's a weird thing though, because this might be my old bastards comment, but it's like if you're in the back, all you're looking at is a load of people stood on a second stage in front of the band. It's a weird view, isn't it? Because it's not like the crowd are anymore. They're not on the stage anymore. They're on another stage, which just happens with 2.
But that is definitely 100% your old bastard view, right? Because see if you walked about Outbreak, and this is like I am lumping on the compliments to this event and telling how impressed we are. If you walk about Outbreak with an old bastard view, you'd be out there in 15 minutes. With a list of complaints as long as that. I had to queue for an hour to sign a waiver to get in there. I had to queue for an hour to get a bit of pizza. I couldn't get near the bar. Like, when I went onto the stage, I couldn't see what it was. But these fans do not fucking care. They do not care. They're there for the chaos and some of these spectacular sets and shows, and they get them in abundance. But there was one point as well, I mean, I'm fucking laughing at this guy, Alex Laidlaw, who's a long-time Damnation fan. And he comes to that tangent, and he's on the forum. He bought one of the VIP tickets, which were fucking unbelievably expensive. But he seemed to be, him and his girlfriend seemed to be the only two at the bottom because he was up this sort of platform with just artists and everybody was like, nah, we don't need a VIP platform. He's sitting up there by himself. But there was one bit where you had Tosha Moore, however you pronounce him, and Mindforce, this other fantastic hardcore band, clashing, right? For 20 minutes an overlap. And then after it was 20 minutes where nothing at all with the festival was happening. There was no band playing. It's like,
Right.
that would get, I mean, again, I'd have an inbox. I'd just get complaints daily. I mean, I've got people still complaining to us about what songs Cradle of Filth are going to play. Never mind the fact that there's these two amazing bands that apparently clash for no good reason when there's a 20-minute gap. And me and Alex looking going, why the fuck is that there? Why, like, that's all you would read for 1 year at Damnation. It's all you would read is, why is this 20 minutes free? I mean, we get complaints about 5-minute overlaps, and these two bands are clashing apparently for no good reason. And everybody's just like, aye, that's how it goes at Outbreak. And also, if you ask them, they're not going to tell you anyway. So just get on with your day and go and enjoy too. They're both bands. What I done?
The punks and the hardcore kids, mate. You're not allowed to complain if you're in that. But if you're a metalhead or a prog person, you're allowed to complain then.
It's so, everything about it's just so viral. I mean, like, everything just looks amazing. You know what I mean? These fucking crowd people jumping off all angles. That it's just, I had a great day. Went down to a cop band called because there's a weird overlap with something, especially now, because you're getting bands where you're going to see Mindforce, but at the same time they're booking Soccer Mummy and the Hot Milligan. There's a weird, like, there's no way in the world I could even attempt to pick an Outbreak because I've got no idea what an Outbreak band is, and they just seem to be progressing that further. American football playing, and the place. I mean, there's no good reason for anybody to crowd surfing an American football song. Yet there you are, people up in that first stage, and it just creates some sort of atmosphere. So I'd caught a band called Ceremony who were okay. Poison the Well, who were fucking spectacular, roll back the years. Toshia Moore, Mindforce, Half Heart were absolutely class. And then the one that really caught me, that I thought would like Show Me the Body, who sort of headlined their second stage, our main stage, and they were just fucking brilliant. But they're also playing ATG, aren't they?
Yeah, and they've previously played 2000 Trees, so they fit across a lot of different things. Really, they're weird.
Aye. So it was good. It was fucking great. But by the end of it, I bumped into Mr. Lewis Bruce, who now, because somebody called me, somebody said, I thought he's been saying in the podcast all this time, Loose Bruce. Somebody's doing fucking Loose Bruce sausages. Ended up some porn site. So, it's Lewis Bruce, Lou''S Bruce, Brews, Lewis Bruce. And the man who's involved in that, his name's actually Luke. It's no Lou, but bumped into him and two of the guys from Pine, and then that's when the night got really fucking out of control. Ended up some pub and club in one of the other side of Manchester, and then at 5 a.m. in his house begging for a couch to sleep on because I was absolutely dying. So that was a great night. Shout out to the man himself. He's as much as a character as his sauces would have you think. He was a great host. He basically ferried me around town, took me to his wonderful girlfriend Amber's pub, and forced shots down our necks. And it was a great time. The boys for Pine were a great laugh as well. So it was a good night. But when we got the Sunday and they were all going back in for round 2, I was like, mate, I am getting in my car and I am driving home to safety.
Yeah. You've been a busy man recently, haven't you?
Man.
And I think you've really got used to turning up at places without anywhere to stay. Clearly.
That honestly, I'm giving myself that reputation. Normally, I would just, you see what happens, right? Is I've went a lot of places over the last 10 years with Paul, the guy organised Damnation with, and he would never do that. He would never show up a place having fucking no plans in place. So I did have I was going to share a bed with Sam Law from Kerrang. So me and a big Irishman were going to have a cuddle. And then I lost him at some point in Outbreak. And the next thing you knew, I was fucking 5:30 in the morning and I was in Lou's Brew's house. So, but Paul would never allowed that. If we were going somewhere, and I usually do go to festivals with him, there would have been a twin room booked somewhere and I'd have been looked after. So it's the fact that I've lost my festival husband that it's just chaos. I'm showing up places going, here mate, is there any chance I can get a bed somewhere? So that's its own thing. That's its own thing. So what's next?
Good work, mate. You need to lie in a darkened room for the next week,
I know.
and then come out and go big again.
I'm gonna have a quiet weekend. Definitely having a quiet weekend for this one. I came back up the road and I got a text from my good friend Luke Bell, who I might have mentioned on this before. He works production with Kings of Leon. So I've got a rare day off in Glasgow before Kings Leon show, which would have been last night. And he goes, "Oh, do you want to come and see Kings Leon?" I said, "Absolutely not, but I will come and see you on the Monday." So I said, I'll take a car. I'll take a car. And then 5 minutes before, I was like, "Oh, how often do I get to see Luke? I won't take a car." 2 bottles of wine later, and a couple of pints of cider. I'm in this the Radisson Red in Glasgow, which is right across from the Hydro, and the production manager's suite, and he's got a pool table in his room, and his guy's talking about how they were sorting. Was it Drake? Drake or The Weekend? The Super Bowl halftime party stuff, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I mean, we were talking about production, like, oh, how'd you get that tent? And the guy's going, oh, we had to put astrograss in for each of Drake's shows in an arena, and at the end of the night, we had to roll it all up and throw it away because it was fucking health and safety hazard. And the other side, like, Jesus, the level these people are operating at. I mean, Kings of Leon themselves, they don't even go to hotels. They've got their own places to stay and just fly backwards and forwards. Like, fucking, there's another world of this industry altogether.
It's incredible, isn't it? He's a rock guy, right, Luke? Originally, like a metal guy.
So he was in a band. He was a singer of a band called Panic Cell back in the day. And,
oh, that's right, yeah.
But his thing was he's a testament to Anthrax and Metallica and Machine Head fan, and he is that metal guy. And he toured with everybody at every level. Your Skindreds and God Forbids, and then he was out with Life Agony, and then he was the tour manager of Machine Head for a bit. And somewhere along the line, you get picked up. It was like Red Hot Chili Peppers or Florence the Machine. And I think once you get into these sort of upper echelons, if you're good at it, you just stay there. So then it was like bounce for there to Red Hot Chili Peppers. Next one, last time I seen was a stadium show at Hampden Park, and then this was the first I found out it was out with Kings of Leon, and it's just, I mean, it's fascinating talking to him. It is absolutely fascinating talking. I mean, he's responsible for a crew of 40, 50 people to get. He's basically a tour manager of 40, 50 crew people to make sure they all get to the right hotels and they all get fed and the caterers come in and they all get their breakfast, lunch and dinner, and the show happens. And their days are like starting at 5 a.m. and then finishing at 1 a.m. the following day, and then getting on a bus, getting someone off a bus into a hotel and starting again. It's like, it's a real, it's another side of the business. It's very different for me showing up at Trees and begging Sarah for a tent.
I bet you really appreciated your 2 bottles of wine then if you had to start at 5:30 the next day.
I know, but that was his fault. We said, let's go out for dinner. And I said, I'll have a glass of Red. He was on the guy. He says, let's just make them bottles. And I was like, okay. I'm not starting at 5 tomorrow, mate. You're lucky if I get my bed before 11. So, that was that. Oh, it's been good to have you back, James. Will we wrap it up with are we on the record then?
Yeah. I mean, let's just say we do really appreciate the listeners' patience in regards to fuck knows what this episode's going to actually be like. I mean, you've heard the first half, I haven't. So we hope you enjoyed it, and we will endeavour to be more professional in the future. But yeah,
Wi-Fi connections are Wi-Fi connections, aren't they? I mean, at the end of the day, maybe you go lightly on us and say that is quite professional. The fact you're still trying to get it done, rather than what a lot of folk have done at this stage, is like, you know what, it's not working. Let's not try and Frankenstein an episode over 5 days and God knows how many edits. Sorry, Bri. So, it's been great. We will get a wee Q&A in the bag, which will come out for the day of 2000 Trees. Then we'll be at 2000 Trees on the Word Stage on the Thursday. I think is it 3:15, and
something like that
needs to be the following Thursday's episode, or else we're royally screwed because I won't even be in the fucking country. So we need to get that sorted, and then we're all good.
Yeah. And guys, let's not fuck about with the questions on the live show. We need your questions. So come, write them down now on your phone. Come with your questions. All the usual suspects. I'm sure a lot of you are going to be there. We want to hear some good questions because, yeah.
And Lou is bringing some the 2000 degrees of his own stock, 2000 degrees hot sauces. Fire up some decent questions. We will throw you out a bottle of the hot sauce. So, come and enjoy it. It's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. The banner arrived at my house this morning, so we don't really have a way of hanging it yet, but we're going to try. We'll attempt something. So but it's all coming together as chaotically as you'd imagine.
Yeah, it's going to be great, mate. I'm looking forward to it.
Right.
Yeah. Do you know? Let me just tell you this. I don't know. You might have wanted this privately, but me and you've been asked to do our first ever interview as well. So I've said yes to it. So on Thursday, me and you are being interviewed in the press area.
Okay, good.
A two promoters, one pod interview. It feels like we've arrived now. No longer do people want to interview me about 2,000 trees. So yeah.
Good. Honestly, I am buzzing about it. I'm buzzing about it. Just get myself back in the game.
Good.
Dry out for a few days, and yes, we will go again. I'm looking forward to it massively. So hit me up. What have you got for the people?
I have got a band called Cobra the Impaler. They've played before at Arctangent, and they're playing on the Wednesday night this year at Arctangent, I think. I mean, I've been called out a few times recently on social media for saying the wrong thing on the podcast. Oh. Factual errors. Like
that Polyphia one is an absolute peach. Is an absolute peach. Like, we had them booked 1 year. We had them booked 1 year, and the whole internet was like, I fucking watched them, James.
Mate, my phone was blowing up with people being like, what are you talking about? And also old Lee's Bruce was saying I'd said I hadn't seen him for a few years, which also is not true. So you got to be careful about saying things that aren't true. But, you know, I'm not sitting here with a load of notes. So I think Cobra the Impaler are playing Wednesday night at Arctangent this year. They are for fans of Mastodon, frankly. If you like Mastodon, you should check out the new Cobra the Impaler record. It is fantastic. They're like the more commercial bits of Mastodon rather than the really out there, crack the sky era, which is my favorite era. But when Mastodon write bangers, this is what Cobra the Impaler are doing, really. They're a super cool band. They're not like a massive popular band. They deserve more listeners. So yeah, check them out. Unless you don't like Mastodon like Gav, and then don't bother.
Yeah, I like not to be that guy, but I like Remission and Leviathan era of Mastodon. After that,
yeah,
it gets tough. I remember going in 2006 to see Tool play, and saying to my pals, "Oh my god, this band, you're going to love them, Blood and Thunder." And that it's going to be fantastic. Mastodon, the openers, and they came and they done that Crack the Sky set. And it was like, what the fuck are we watching? This is not what you promised at all, Gav.
No, but that album is a 10 out of 10. I mean, look, we could do a whole podcast arguing about Mastodon. I feel like Mastodon could become the new Machine Head for us.
Okay, well, we need to swap some down so Mastodon can be, and I hope somebody's in my side with that one, that the Remission and Leviathan stuff is the best. So please let us know. And also, guys, this podcast, I know we've been a bit like hard to it has been a lot of fun. Let us know what's happening with that. And what was it in YouTube's like 2,000 people, which is okay for YouTube for us, watched the Cam Hack one, a dissect and download. And I think like 70 people were fucking good enough to get a thumbs up. We can do better than 70 people at 2,000. Get your thumbs up, get your subscribes going. We have the t-shirts in production. We are going to give away one of the t-shirts to anyone who follows like our socials and likes and subscribes and does that. So help us out there, and we appreciate it greatly. On the record, I'm going to go with Show Me the Body then, given that I just saw them on Saturday and I was very impressed, and now really looking forward to seeing them at Arctangent as well. Is it Arcanum, I think is the way how you pronounce it. And it's weird because it's almost like it's like guys getting an electric banjo, and it's like spoken word. It's like a different world feel, like almost like a Meryl Streep. He's just building up this angry I was surprised by how much it was kicking off to this guy in an electric banjo, just basically doing electronic spoken word. But when it gets going, it does kick in, and people really went for it. So please go and check out them as well. It's it might actually be my band of the day. I enjoyed a lot of the bands I saw on Saturday, but them at the end, I was like, I'm fucking massively impressed. So did they go down well?
Like, yeah, ish. I think it's a bit hipster and left field for Trees. I think it probably do better at Arctangent. That like most bands are like, you form a band and you're like, yeah, we want to sound like Mastodon, or we want to sound like Tool. Show Me the Body have gone, let's just start a band that doesn't sound like anyone else, which is a pretty fucking cool thing to do. And what instruments should we play? I'm going to play guitar on this one. I was thinking about banjo. So
electric banjo.
But it's not going to sound like a banjo. So yeah, fair play to them. They're worth checking out, definitely.
Do you know where they're playing off the top of your head? I know you don't have your notes in front of you.
I think they're headlining BEC stage at Arctangent this year. So yeah.
Excellent.
Probably be wrong, but
don't take James then. James, we managed it, mate. We put together a podcast over several days. Thank you once again to Bri for having to put up with this shit right to last minute. I mean, you guys are getting a second half of the podcast. Well, you're getting the whole podcast, but we're recording the second half yet the day before again. So the poor bastard needs to get back for work and have to deal with this nonsense. So we appreciate it, Bri. You're definitely the engine of this team. So yes, James, I'll see you next week.
See you next week, mate. Thanks a lot.